Welcome to Redtastic. Story 1. So, my fiancé has 3 kids from his former marriage, whilst I have 2 from my former marriage as well. I quit my job to start focusing on getting my degree. He's become the breadwinner, if you will, although I still contribute with my savings. I also do 80% of childcare and chores. Long story short, he wanted me and my kids to attend Thanksgiving with his family, who are located across the country, and we were supposed to go yesterday, ahead of time to get a rental place. He booked our tickets and everything, but later, before the flight, I found out that he, his kids, and myself were put in first class whilst my 2 kids, 14 and 10, were put in economy. I was stunned. He acted like it was no big deal and told us it's just a few hours and the kids could just hang in there for a while. I asked how he could think this was acceptable and he got mad and said he's the one paying for tickets, then we go by his rules. I immediately turned around and took the kids and made my way out of the airport. He started following us and screaming at me to go back, but I refused and told him that I no longer felt like spending Thanksgiving with his folks after this. My youngest cried because she never flew without me. He went with his kids. My kids and I are home. He has not stopped calling, trying to berate me, and even had his mom text that I needed to get over myself and stop teaching my kids to be spoiled and entitled. She said that the fact that I was willing to miss Thanksgiving with the family over something so trivial shows my real character and personality and mindset, or lack thereof. I have not replied, but I feel horrible. Am I the a-hole? Should I have just let it slide and just went? In case I wasn't clear, me and the kids left our family hometown so we could go celebrate with his family in his hometown. My kids weren't too excited about leaving their grandparents for a week or so. Update. I'm currently getting myself and the kids packed so that we can stay with my mother. This has happened before in other instances, but I kept thinking to myself, this is not right, but I have invested too much time and effort in this relationship, so maybe this shouldn't get in the way. And I try to minimize most situations where I find my kids being put last. Not only that, but he tried to give me an ultimatum regarding getting my degree, and what was my response? This isn't right. But kept making light of it and letting go. Now he's probably bad-mouthing me to the whole family, and so is his mom, bless her effing heart. The kids and I are leaving. He'll be coming back to an empty house. Except he'll find some company with the engagement ring that I took off and left on the nightstand. Distance and some re-evaluation is needed right now. Thank you to all who reached out with helpful input and perspectives. You're right, my kids come first and that's what I keep trying to do. And I hope I won't ever fail. Thank you so much for the support. You're not the a-hole OP, and you're doing the right thing for yourself and your kids. If you wanted to save money, then you all should have gone to economy, not just your kids. Your partner has a problem viewing the kids as equals, and that's not a good thing. He would always put his kids above yours, and he would always see nothing wrong with it and make you out to be the bad guy like he and his mother are doing right now. I'll advise you to leave him and don't look back, for your sake and your kids' sake. Now for some comments. I am astonished how your husband is not noticing how inappropriate his behavior was. Considering your edit, it seems to me that this wasn't just on one occasion, but is a larger problem. I don't think he'll ever be willing to treat your kids equally, and especially with all his family siding with him. This is a completely spoiled mess. Get out of there ASAP. OP, you are definitely not the a-hole. I am a bonus mom, and one thing going into this relationship, I set my boundaries. I had one son at the time and I told him if and when we are ready, our kids need to be treated equally no matter what. No one gets more or less. Setting boundaries, especially when having kiddos, is imperative. I am so happy you left. Please keep your kids above everything, especially men and other possible bonus siblings. You did the right thing. Please don't fix the issue. If you decide to go back, this will make him think he can do this again. Him and his mom look like they have narcissistic behavior. Run now that you can. Once he realizes that you are serious and have left, he will apologize, guilt-trip you, and make promises of how it will get better. And he won't ever do it again. You will end up feeling like a horrible person because you left. Do not believe him. Once you go back, things will be fine for a little while and then the old patterns will start right back up. If you marry him, it will get many times worse. You are able to dodge this bullet because you don't have to get lawyers and sign paperwork to leave him. Time invested in a relationship is never a reason to stay in a bad one. Don't waste more time. You only have this one life. Story 2. I am 7 months pregnant with my first child. The baby is also the first grandchild and nephew of my husband's family, which everyone is excited about. I lost my mother and father to the pandemic, being an only child, so there's not much of my family. Since the death of my parents 1 year ago, my husband's family has welcomed me with open arms as part of them, and I have become very close to my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. I always wanted to have a gender reveal, and I trusted my sister-in-law to organize everything about this. With 3 days to go before the party, I started to receive messages from all my husband's relatives, and even close friends congratulating me on my baby being a boy. I went to ask what happened. My sister-in-law confessed that she let it slip to my mother-in-law, and she told everyone the sex of the baby after knowing. Because she couldn't hold it and it took proportions beyond what they imagined, nobody called me to tell this. The party was cancelled and I was heartbroken, as well as extremely hurt by the two of them. Usually they accompanied me to the ultrasound, shopping for the baby's room, and my mother-in-law would stay at the time of delivery. But after this breach of trust, I stopped inviting them and asked them to respect my boundaries when they pressured me to go. Honestly, I didn't even send them the baby shower invite, because I really avoided contact with them as much as possible, because everyone knew before me that it was a boy. My husband started complaining that I was pushing them away because of a mistake that could happen and that I was being harsh. Yesterday he brought up this, and when I said that I still didn't feel comfortable with them, he said, "Soon you'll tell me that my mother won't be able to go to the birth." I think my face showed my response, and he started saying I was being too hard on her because she was just excited and blah blah blah. I had my limit and said, "If you keep pushing me, it won't just be your mother who won't be in my labor, so either stop or you won't come in." He started to say that I was crossing lines and that he had a right to have this moment. I was taking this with them too far. He slept on the couch. He doesn't talk to me more than necessary. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Well, many are saying it's just a gender reveal. I honestly don't care for that, and I think it's tacky, but my mom was the type who like or love it, and she always dreamed of having grandchildren. She said she was made to be a grandmother. She can't meet my son or even know I'm pregnant. So I wanted to do something tacky that I don't care, for her, not for me. Everyone knew the importance and the reason. I always wanted to have a gender reveal with my mom there, and I didn't have either. At no time did I say that I would never approach them again, but right now I don't see myself doing that. I already have grief, pregnancy hormones, and day-to-day stress to deal with, so I don't want anything else to bother me. Obviously, I want my husband to be in childbirth, but it's a lot of stress. He brings up this topic all the time, and I doubt he'll stop even at the time of my delivery, trying to convince me. Even if he goes, if he says anything about his mother coming, I'll ask him to leave. I'm going to go with not the a-hole, but I think you do need to seriously think about this. Mother-in-law and sister-in-law broke your trust. However, you did say that before that happened, you had become close to them since the loss of your parents. Boundaries are important, but if you push mother-in-law and sister-in-law away too hard for too long, and your husband too, you might find yourself extremely alone with a new baby, and that's not a great place to be in. I think you need to really think about if these people are detrimental to your health and well-being. If they're not, maybe don't chase them out of your life. If they agree to apologize and promise to behave better and become more supportive again, give them another chance. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole. I think it's reasonable that you ask for space from your mother-in-law and sister-in-law after what they've done. I'm sure you will still be able to forgive them, but they should allow you to give it some time. What irks me the most, though, is the husband. Here you are, pregnant, being vulnerable and emotional after the incident and the death of your parents, and he's being unsympathetic to you. He's most definitely the a-hole here. Not the a-hole. They broke your trust and ruined something they knew to be incredibly important to you. Why did sister-in-law tell mother-in-law in the first place? And why did mother-in-law think it acceptable to tell everyone? Your husband, sister-in-law, and mother-in-law are the a-holes. No one has a right to be at birth. It is you that is having this baby, not them. Your husband needs to learn to put you first. I would seriously consider if you want to stay with someone who puts his mother and sister before you, and by extension the well-being of your child. Everyone sucks here. I was torn between everyone and no one. Everyone sucks a little. Some people are just really bad at keeping secrets. To cut your mother-in-law and sister-in-law out over this seems extreme, and granted, you are very emotional and hormonal right now, and it's really your opinion that matters most in the delivery room. And if you don't feel comfortable with certain people there, then they shouldn't be there. I think you should reach out to them and try to explain how their actions really upset you, and it's made you want to distance yourself for a while because you're extra sensitive about these things, especially given your losses. Hopefully they will understand and be remorseful about it. Story 3. I, 32 male, have been with my girlfriend, 29 female, for 8 years. From the very beginning, we have been child-free. My girlfriend isn't a big fan of kids, and while I love being the fun uncle, I love being able to give them back. Some background. My girlfriend is incredibly introverted and suffers from anxiety. Because of this, she is definitely a homebody and prefers hanging out at home with our 2 dogs. She likes things quiet and calm and definitely thinks of the house as her safe space. I completely respect that. I watch my 2 nephews and my niece, 7, 5 and 3, once in a while for my sister and brother-in-law. I always go over to their house to watch the kids. Partially because all the stuff and toys are there and it's just easier, and because I know my girlfriend wouldn't enjoy having them over at the house. Plus, she didn't agree to watch them, so that wouldn't be fair. We've had some really lovely weather lately, and my sister and brother-in-law have been asking me to take the kids over to my place to watch them instead. They live in a townhome and don't have much of a yard, while we are pretty lucky and have a pretty large backyard. I've offered to take the kids to the park instead if they want some outside time. Neither my sister or brother-in-law like this much. They say that they would rather have the kids in a safer fenced yard to run around and play than at a public park. It all came to a head this past weekend. My brother-in-law called and asked if I was available to watch the kids. I told him sure, that wouldn't be a problem. He politely at first asked if he could drop the kids off with me for a change. I told him no, I would come to them. He got a little frustrated and said the kids really needed some fresh air and to get their energy out. I said okay, we can go to the park. He exploded at me and told me I was an a-hole for never letting the kids come over. He said never mind, he didn't want me to watch them because I was too selfish. Now for some comments. Not the a-hole, and actually calling you an a-hole for not wanting them in your home shows that he thinks of you as a service provider, not as someone doing him a favor. Calling someone an a-hole for not doing something you want the way you want it, for free, makes you a self-entitled a-hole. And your brother is clearly a selfish bad person. I feel sorry for the kids who will learn from this terrible example. No more favors. He can pay someone to watch the kids from now on. Not the a-hole. It's your home and your girlfriend's home, and you're showing her respect by not babysitting there. Taking the kids to a park is a reasonable solution. Maybe your city likes to build playgrounds in the middle of the road, but most public parks I've seen put the playgrounds plenty far away from the roads. Your brother-in-law is trying to make this into a power play. It's not really about your fenced-in yard or whatever, it's about control. Don't give in or you'll never get the ability to say no back. Yes, it is very selfish of you to be willing to watch his children anywhere but in your home. Sarcasm. You have made yourself willing and available to help them. They have decided that is not enough, so be it. But maybe your sister doesn't know what all is going on, so you may want to address this with her. Be sure to make it clear that your terms are simple. You are willing to watch the children on occasion, but it will not be in your house. You don't need to give them any reasons for that. You have the right to that boundary. Either they will respect it or they won't, but it isn't going to change.